What is the most infuriating case of double standards you've come across? For purposes of this story, I have two little brothers. They do not share mothers. We were eating breakfast with the mother of one of them. The other one is a picky eater. He has issues with texture, but he never complains, just powers through as best he can. She got up to get coffee, and they traded plates. Her bio son had almost cleaned his, and her stepson had eaten about half, before the trade. Then they both got up and took their plates to her like they'd finished, and she accepted them both as done. You see, when her bio son says he's full, she believes him. When her stepson says he's full, she doesn't. So they made it look like the step had eaten more because they knew the bio's plate would be accepted in any condition. I never told them that I know they did this, and probably have for a while, but I love that they figured a way around her double standards. Just gotta say it's really cute that the brothers look out for each other like that. I agreed that was way more heartwarming than I expected here. School always calls me, the mom. Teachers always call me, the mom. When I changed the primary number to my husband's number, they were confused that he picked up and asked him to verify my number for future reference. They never bother or ask or complain to my husband, only me, the mom. The office staff couldn't imagine why mother's contact information wasn't on file. They kept asking me for her phone number. What do you want that for? She doesn't have custody. Once they even pressed it so hard I also had to explain she lived 4 states away. Does anyone have a link to the story of a guy whose child almost got kidnapped? It was a story where a man was waiting for his wife outside a store with their child in a stroller. A woman just walks up, screams that he's kidnapping her child, grabs the stroller, and calmly walks off. The man got tackled and beat by everyone there, to the point of having broken ribs, and all the while he was screaming that the baby was his and she was the kidnapper. It was only stopped because the wife came out and confronted the woman, who just calmly let go of the stroller and walked off without anyone stopping her. When the police got there, the husband was reprimanded for looking suspicious. I remember reading that and feeling so angry. I can't imagine the helplessness you feel watching some strange woman walking off with your kid while you're being beaten and held down by strangers preventing you from rescuing your child. My blood was boiling after reading it. Reminds me of a Japanese story I heard recently of an 80-year-old man shopping at a mall and when he was done withdrew some cash and a creepy woman was standing around the ATM with a baby strapped to her chest. She bumped into him and tried to pickpocket his wallet, but he was quick and had grabbed his wallet at the same time and she struggled to get it. He held it with such force it broke his cards in there. When she realized she wouldn't be able to get it, she yelled thief. And the Good Samaritans ran to her aid. 2 rookie police officers were nearby and detained the man by putting their knee on his back. He was visibly injured and they ignored him. The victim had disappeared by the time they had done so. He later died. The next day they charged him posthumously with theft until a couple cops that felt something wasn't right reviewed the mall cameras and saw that he was telling the truth. He was only 60 from what I remember, real shitty. My high school English teacher would hear something even remotely phone-like and explode. Whose phone is that? If no one answered right away, Ahe would pace the desks, and if anyone acted suspicious she would have them empty their pockets, bags, etc. on the desk. If there was a phone, she confiscated it. If there were any unread notifications, she would read them aloud. But, every now and again, she would do her whole explosion, then glance down and giggle and say, "Oh, it's my phone," and then text away. Also, she was a terrible English teacher. One of the regional managers goes to state prison for over a year for DWI. If you know anything about Texas DWI laws, that means he got caught multiple times. Comes out of a prison, immediately transferred to corporate and made a director. Brand new employee is rear-ended in stop-go traffic on the highway. No injuries, but forced to take a drug test. Fails for weed, immediately fired. 35 years ago and it still pisses me off. I got detention in high school, no biggie, I did the crime. However, I was scheduled to work, so I asked for detention to be delayed for 1 day. Request denied. I pointed out that football players routinely had theirs rescheduled to accommodate games and practice. Only answer I got was that's different. Same deal with me, so I skipped detention and got a day of internal suspension instead. So you got to sit out of class for a day on school time instead of wasting an hour of your time in detention? What always bugged me about my school is that we weren't allowed to do anything in detention but sit and stare. I couldn't even do homework if I wanted to. To this day I don't understand the logic. Just sit there and think about what you did. I thought about it and honestly, if this is the punishment for what I did, I'm okay with that. Someone posted on Reddit once, and it really made me laugh, so it stuck with me, that a woman he worked with would make fun of him and call him chicken legs and stuff, wearing shorts, so he finally called her elephant legs and got into trouble with our. Because elephants always remembers. Middle-aged woman I used to work with was always complaining about her son-in-law, and one day she was complaining to me and saying how he doesn't clean her daughter's car off when it snows, and that is something the man should be doing, and I responded with, sure, but how would you feel if he said the same thing about dishes and being something the woman should do? She paused and then said she never thought of it that way, lol. Glad she could accept her mistake though. Smile. Yeah, some people are genuine, but they think in one direction only. Good thing that he explained it in a calm way. My mom gets mad at me for being at home all the time and never going over to friends' houses and stuff. I get a girlfriend and a job, so now I'm never home, and she gets pissed off about it. My ex was like this, pissed off that I'm home and she doesn't get alone time. I go hang out with friends or do something by myself, and suddenly I'm not spending enough quality time with her. Edit, this tidbit got more traction than I thought it would. She knows my Reddit, don't care if she sees, but if she does, please send me back my Switch games like you said you would. I was fully prepared for you to get a girlfriend and a job, and your ex not being happy about it. I went to a small Bible college where we had to sign a contract promising not to drink or have premarital sex while enrolled there. At one point a couple was caught having sex. The guy was put on some sort of light probation. Of course he was still able to play on the school's basketball team, and the girl was immediately expelled. I also went to a small Bible college that required us to sign a community covenant. What a time that was. While I was still there, a couple got pregnant. The girl was asked to leave the school and the guy didn't even get a slap on the wrist. Shit was ducked. A girl I dated in high school would often vent to me about her friends' boyfriends doing the same things she would do to me. For example, we'd see each other every weekend. She wanted to see me more often, but we lived 40 minutes from each other, gas was expensive, I was broke, and I had homework and extracurriculars, so I was busy during the week. She got mad and angrily told me to let her know when I cared enough to pencil her into my calendar. Not too much later, she was on the phone with me, telling me how her friend's boyfriend said the same thing to her friend and what an asshole he was for it. When I called her out, she just made up some crap about how our situation was different. Ah. The joy of high school love. Drugs. Just depends if you are rich or poor when you get caught. When I was a school nurse, I was always alone with whatever children needed assistance, even after I would ask for help. New male school nurse started, all of a sudden 3 other people are available just to watch him. I felt terrible for the guy, but literally no one trusted him with the diabetic kid or the kid with the trot alone. Oh, he can't be alone. But me, a woman, was never questioned, double standards abound. I was once pulled off of a school trip that I'd been asked to assist with because they were short-staffed because the deputy head of the girls' school said there was already 1 man on the trip and 2 would be a safeguarding concern. Which? I mean, if you thought either of us was a safeguarding concern, you shouldn't have either of us working at the school. And also is the idea that 1 man is fine, but add another man and we start trying to screw kids. They instead paid a substitute teacher at what must have been a massive rate, to cover the numbers. I was fuming. It's been 5 years, I'm still fuming. Edit, oh, as a bonus, on the trip a private hired bus driver grabbed the arse of one of the kids, and said he couldn't help himself. Mate. That is the opposite of an excuse, and so is the other man was elsewhere. 3 tiny women couldn't get him off the bus, and he refused to, so they had to get the girls to all walk past him to get off. I can assure you I'd have gotten him off the bus. I've dealt with perverted dudes like that. They'll completely ignore me, a woman, or even get angry if I'm too stern for their fragile emotions, until I get my male coworker. Suddenly the same request is immediately complied with. Night and day difference. I hate to have to call in one of the guys, it's a massive waste of everyone's time, but it is nice to have a big male around for these situations.